Hello and welcome back to the Hospitality Investor Report. My name is Dallas Rourke and I'm the managing partner over at Destination UX. And today's video, I just wanted to talk about the very contentious topic of hotels versus Airbnb. I think it's hilarious that this is a contentious topic. People feel really passionately about both Airbnb and hotels in both directions. You know, I've met some people that are guests that are just hating on hotels and they could never do it. And they're just like, why would anyone pay, that price to stay at, inside of a little hole in a box in a room with 14 beds? And like, that's horrible, and you can hear your neighbors to the left, right, above and below you. Why would you do that? And then I've heard it on the other side too. Like, why would you stay at a, stupid Airbnb with, no one that's really taking care of the place, and by itself, there's no amenities, no room service, none of that. Like and it's more expensive than a hotel when you add in all their fees. And I just want to have a conversation kind of explaining a little bit more of the details and kind of nuances between the two, because no matter what, they're both short-term rentals. They're both for people that are traveling for work, for leisure, for necessity, family, whatever it is. They're meant for those types of activities, and people have various different reasons as to why they're going to a different specific spot, and they're either staying in an Airbnb or a hotel. At the end of the day, they're staying at a short-term rental. That's just what they're called. And hotels are buildings with a bunch of short-term rentals that are really close together, and typically they're being used by companies that are really specific about the location. So if there's a hotel somewhere, like, they've really done an extensive amount of research in that area to know that there's a pretty big demand. But Airbnbs could be in those same areas or kind of scattered all over. They could be, wherever someone has a piece of land that they wouldn't mind renting to people on a short-term basis. And what I found is there's, a healthy mix for both. Most people think of an Airbnb, they're thinking of a vacation rental home. They're not thinking of all the different short-term rental options that exist on Airbnb. Actually, they're like, hotels can list on Airbnb. For example, there's plenty of hotels that do list on Airbnb, and they'll pay them a fee for finding them and booking through there. Funny enough. But most part, for the sake of this conversation, we'll call an Airbnb a single family vacation rental home. And, in that context, it's really great for people that are traveling in groups or a couple of couples or a big work trip, because then you can split the cost of one single rental with multiple, secluded rooms that you can section off and, be semi-private with, the different door locking and separate bathrooms and all that sort of stuff. And if it's $150 plus a $125 clean fee, then, you're probably paying maybe $30-$40 more per night than what a single room would be. But you would have had to do 2 or 3 rooms to be able to do those multiple group situations. So anytime you're traveling with 4 to 5 people plus, that's where the Airbnb starts to come in handy. When you're a solo traveler, there's still, again, like I mentioned, some Airbnbs that are a great fit and even have hotel rooms on there. But all in all, for the most part, because the hotel business model being so clustered and all in one spot, they have typically a lot of different options and have compartmentalized and really maximized that big building's value. So they will probably be a cheaper option and provide you a little bit more on-site service to be able to continue focusing on, your business work travels if you're just a solo traveler for business. And then when it comes into like leisure travel, that's where Airbnb it does really well because of the unique opportunities, unique experiences that people can have on there. It's really something interesting to look at. Now, I wanted to go over a few topics just for the sake of this conversation. Went over price, went over location already, but the other thing I've kind of alluded to already is the amenity option for both the hotel and Airbnb. Now hotels definitely have way more amenities that they offer than most Airbnbs. There are some Airbnb superhosts out there that really do offer a cool array of amenities, not only just with the physical property. Some of them are really private and really fun, but also with the experiences that they will provide. They'll take you on a tour, give you some sort of performance or some sort of experience that's local to the area that you're visiting, the Airbnb that you're staying at. But hotels far and wide have way more amenity options and room service opportunities. I know within my business model, we invest in both hotels and Airbnb vacation rental homes. So we try and kind of combine the best of both worlds by having that vacation rental option, and maybe there's some overflow or someone joins the trip late and you want to be able to have the hotel, and then vice versa. Maybe those hotel people that have all these, fun services, maybe the people in the vacation rental also want to have those hotel level services. So that's kind of the reason for our business model. But if you're looking at them, strictly on a, what do you get, Airbnb vacation rental versus your typical hotel, that's kind of the trade-off you get there. And then one thing that isn't talked about as much is the safety and security. So hotels are heavily staffed and have 24/7 service across the board at most major chains. They offer that 24/7 security and around the clock service, and that prevents a ton of security problems that could occur. Airbnbs, the hosts don't always have that luxury. Sometimes they're not even there. You do a virtual check-in, and you have cleaners and people nearby that can respond to emergencies, but no one's necessarily there on just a day-to-day, hour-to-hour basis. People will respond and be available, but not necessarily proactively doing something about security. So I've noticed a few different, let's call it, security risks or potential illegal activity that's gone on within some of our Airbnb rentals, and there's not too much you can do after the fact, based on what the product is, what the Airbnb world of Airbnb is. It lends itself to a few different, scams, not directly, but as a proxy for it, using the home's address and the ability to have a private space to send stuff through. Now, hotels are just as subject to it, but having that on-site security makes a pretty big difference at the end of the day. For me, that does hotels versus Airbnbs. I'm interested to hear everyone's responses to this video. If you feel one way or another about hotels versus Airbnbs, or if you're kind of like me where it's there's a time and a place for both, and I like the mix of having both options. Let me know in the comments, send a message directly if you're curious about anything that I said or just want to talk hotels and Airbnbs with me. Happy to dive into that conversation with anyone. But without further ado, thank you for listening to episode number 2 of the Hospitality Investor Report. My name is Dallas Rourke, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Peace.